obviously Prop 8 gets passed, then the lawsuit gets into motion. At what point as filmmakers do you come in and decide, we want to document this? Did you even know what you were going to end up, what the film was going to be? And, at what point do you guys come into the process to make a movie?
Well, we were lucky enough to find out about the lawsuit right before it was filed, and so we approached the people who were involved in starting it and said, hey, what about making a documentary? Would you be open to us exploring that? And they said, yeah, sure, we'll introduce you to Ted Olson and David Boyce, who were the lawyers who started the case, as well as the plaintiffs. And it was really up to them to whether they would allow the cameras to follow them. And we were really drawn to this idea of a conservative and a liberal lawyer in Ted Olson and David Boyce, who had famously squared off in Bush v. Gore, coming together. We thought, wow, that's a really interesting hook, and we've never seen a film like this follow behind the scenes all the way to the Supreme Court. At the time, though, we didn't know that it would go to the Supreme Court, for sure not, but we knew there was a possibility. So we showed up when we started filming, and then once we did, we realized really quickly that these plaintiffs were such an integral part of this story, and emotional journey that they were going on was something that we wanted to tell as well. So it sort of became the sort of love story of the two couples and the love story of Ted Olson and David Boyce, which was an added bonus.
Well, we were so caught up in the actual plaintiff effort role that we were in that the film and whatever was going to happen with that was so secondary. And in some ways, that's a really good thing. We're very much unaware of the camera. We're focused on our lawyers. We're focused on our court dates. We're trying to, be our most prepared selves. So in some way, the Ben and Ryan and whatever they were doing was almost invisible because we were so preoccupied with the role we had as plaintiffs.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say we were reluctant to be in the documentary. If we were reluctant to be in anything, it was like part of the case itself,
Right.
Not really the documentary. The documentary just kind of happened, and I don't think it was really until the very end that I really thought that there actually would be a documentary. I thought they were capturing footage, but we didn't really know how it would turn out, and it seemed like maybe they would have something, maybe they wouldn't. I didn't really think about it that much.
I think it was really important, and I think we knew that going in when they started talking about having this be filmed. It was a discussion with a lot of people in the room, and it resulted in we were telling stories. There were people asking us because we were getting to know the lawyers, getting to know the people at the American Foundation for Equal Rights, and when they were asking about our coming out stories and things like that, it was like, wow, someone in the room said we should be filming this. And we really thought, like, wow, what a really great idea to film this process, to memorialize this process, because our stories aren't unique. Our stories are the stories of thousands and thousands of gays, lesbians, bisexual, and transgendered people around the country. So the fact that we could maybe use this movie through telling our own stories to inspire and educate and help young kids that are sitting in their room watching it and they haven't told their parents who are in the other room that they're gay, to think about the young kids who maybe even haven't thought about marriage yet and haven't fallen in love yet could use this as inspiration. So it was more about why it was important to do it than reasons for why we shouldn't do it.
Well, let's talk about the importance of Ted Olson to this case, and of course him bringing in David. I mean, it was pivotal, right, to this case being heard.
Yeah, I mean, Ted Olson is probably the most famous conservative litigator in the country. He was George Bush's Solicitor General. He worked for the Reagan administration. He won Bush v. Gore. He won Citizens United. So he is a conservative stalwart. So it's a total curveball, shocker, that Ted Olson was even interested in representing LGBT people in California in a federal courtroom. And I think it sort of was a major game changer in that way. The only prominent Republican politician at the time in favor of gay marriage was Dick Cheney. And so Ted Olson coming out was a huge deal. He wrote a cover story on Newsweek called The Conservative Case for Gay Marriage. So he was not only representing LGBT people, he was making a conservative case. And he decided to bring in as his co-counsel his opponent from Bush v. Gore, who is David Boies, who's one of the best trial attorneys in the country and a very famous liberal litigator. And I think the genius of that move, which you see in our film, is that it right away, from the very beginning, from square one, it strips away party politics. People can't start on the right and left. They have the two most famous litigators from both sides fighting, so people can't engage in that type of conversation. So it makes it a human rights issue from the very beginning when Ted Olson's arguing that. And I think over the course of the 5 years, you can see the progress that was made because of people like Ted Olson coming out in favor of gay marriage. You see Republican politicians falling left and right in favor of gay marriage now. It's almost normal that that happens, but it wasn't normal in 2008 when we began shooting.
That election night in 2008 is very emotional for us. First, being so excited about this historical event. I mean, and then being so crushed and so damaged by what happened with Proposition 8. But it also made clear to us that you look at how that happened. I mean, here was a president-elect on a message of hope. And then here was a ballot initiative that was passed by hate. And so what we thought was, this is interesting. Prop 8, no one ever thought that Prop 8 would pass until they changed the strategy, until the propaganda changed, until they started using fear. And they started using lies and misrepresentations to make a bumper sticker argument out of something that really damages people's lives. And so they built this wall, this barrier to equality that we then realized at that point was so incredibly damaging to us. So again, there's this moment of hope and then this reaction to hate in the same evening. And it's really a tough experience to go through because it's impossible to really tell people how it feels when your state discriminates against you. When they say that you cannot have this because of who you love. Mm-hmm. People say, how does it feel? You're like, I can't tell you how it feels. You can only live how it feels. And so we knew that that night would be a night that we would always remember. And now we can look back and understand that it was a night that we really lit the fire for us. And we're lucky to be involved with what we got involved with.
We're so fortunate Prop 8's gone. So for that, we're eternally grateful to the Supreme Court. I think that was the best outcome we really ever imagined.
Right.
But when you start getting close to that moment where they could go bigger and you let yourself dream, of a bigger ruling, it's hard to not want that too. But we didn't set out to do that, and we didn't get that, and we're sorry. We're so sorry about that. But look at what's starting to happen, right? The pieces are all, the wall is falling down, and they did a great job on DOMA. They did a pretty good job on our case, and now there's a huge amount of precedent for other justices and other lawyers to use, and it'll just take longer. It could have gone faster. Instead, it's going to take longer, but it's going to happen.